Right, so today we are here with Lauren, who is Carb Cutters on Instagram, and we're going to talk about her keto journey and how she's got to be a keto coach now. Lauren, you're up.
Well, obviously, when did you start keto? Why? Was there any particular reason? Like, was it a bit of a wake-up call to you? Medical issues, health reasons at all? What made you want to start? Because you've obviously lost a hell of a lot. You lost about 6 stone now?
6 stone, yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you. So I started in July 2018. I spent the best part of a decade up to that point trying every other diet out there, a couple of certain well-known slimming clubs, simple calorie counting, reducing my fat intake, eating grapefruit sprinkled with sweetener. So needless to say, I never had any long-term success. And I'd always end up right back at the beginning, quite often heavier than before that. My turning point, it was one evening I'd eaten all of the junk food in the house, and I didn't drive at this point to go and get any more. And I was so desperate for sugar that I baked myself a whole tray of cupcakes. I'm not someone who enjoys baking, I really don't like it. So I just Googled the quickest basic recipe I could find and chucked a whole tray of cupcakes together. I took the tray to the sofa, sat on the sofa with oven gloves holding this tray and a spoon in the other hand, and I ate like a crazy person, eating this tray of cupcakes. And I'd got about halfway through. My husband had his virtual reality headset on. He turned around, took it off and saw what I was doing, and I just completely broke down, burst into tears and looked at myself and thought, what am I actually doing? I'm this desperate for sugar. I have made something to just eat and eat and eat. And that was my proper turning point. And I knew something had to be different this time. I already had an inhaler for after I climbed the stairs because I was getting so out of breath. I had to use my inhaler every time I got to the top of the staircase. And at that point, I was really thinking it could make me properly ill. So that was my beginning, really.
So you personally realised, I have to do something about this. No one turned around. Did anyone make any comments to you or any remarks or make any digs or any sarky comments?
No, I think because the weight had gone on quite gradually, the way people saw me was just, oh, that's just Lauren. That's just that's what I look like. It wasn't until this one point after trying so many things, and it's like I saw myself in a different light suddenly, and I thought, what are you doing, Lauren? This has gone too far.
I mean, I can definitely relate to the literally eating all of the junk food in the house. That has happened to me throughout the years, and it's something that is really hard to kind of fix because it's a mental thing as well as a physical issue. And obviously by taking away those triggers, which for me is sugar and casein, that you can then start to heal your relationship with food.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think it scared me that I'd eaten, all the junk food had gone out the house, but the desperation was so strong. I was that addicted to sugar. I had to get it. It was like an impulse. And I thought it really is a drug. Sugar truly is a drug to have such a hold over me.
Did you have a lot of because I know for me, I had a lot of times where I was restricting really heavily, and then one day I would just end up binging a lot of calories. So for instance, I did a lot of the weird grapefruit based ones and a lot of really low calorie ones. I think there used to be one where you could have ice cream as a dessert every day, but you would barely eat anything during the day. Try that, didn't work. But yeah, was there a lot of restriction and then binge?
Yeah, and I think it just shows it's just human nature. If you've restricted, your body knows you've restricted and you're not filled with enough nutrients, it's going to cry out for something. And normally that is just the quickest energy you can get, which is from carbs, because it's just there, it's easy to eat and it's quick fuel.
Yeah, I always found that I was hungry as well, so much. And nothing would kind of satisfy that craving. And it was so easy to eat more and more carbs.
And it was more it's almost like you're eating on autopilot. So last weekend, for example, I just found myself, I had my dinner, I had my Chinese, and with savoury food, I find it so easy to just eat it like it's going out of fashion. I can just eat and eat and eat, whereas chocolate and sweets can be a little bit sickly for me. And then I was eating chocolate and I was feeling a little bit sick. And then I cracked open the bag of chili sensations and I just ate the whole bag. And I sat there and I thought I didn't have room for that, but for some reason it fitted in there somehow. Even though when I was like shoving chocolate down my neck, I was getting so sick and so full up. And then I don't know, I was just sitting there and I was just eating like tunnel vision. I didn't know what I was doing.
I think it's so easy to
But I think it's
overeat.
because I hadn't had carbs. Exactly, yeah. Like, because like Gia was saying, you don't have that feeling of fullness. And when you do, it's kind of when you've eaten too much and you feel sick.
Oh, I definitely had times where I was like on the sofa, like literally thought like
Not food up to your esophagus.
Yeah, like
definitely, and like honestly, there were times where I thought I was gonna like have a heart attack because I was just eating so much.
Honestly, there's times where I just thought I need to put my fingers down the back of my throat because I can't move. Like, you know, you get to the point where you just can't breathe as well.
Yeah.
Like, you're struggling to breathe. Honestly, so uncomfortable. And then you wake up and your stomach just feels quite bruised the next day because you've just overstretched it.
And I think it always amazes me that when you're fully on plan with keto and you're feeling fully fat adapted, you can literally eat a couple of scrambled eggs and butter and it can keep you going for like hours. Yet if you're off plan, you could eat 10 slices of toast and not feel any more satisfied.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, being full up on keto is so different to being full up on carbs.
It's a real full up. It's not like
it's real like satisfied.
Yeah, it's not an uncomfortable full up. It's just a comfortable, satisfied feeling of like you just feel the whole, but you're not sitting there like all sluggish, especially at work. Like if you've got a desk job like me and Lauren, I can imagine you sat there and had a sandwich like pre-keto days and you just sit there and you just get that afternoon slug where you just want to sleep.
Yeah,
whereas now I'm
day.
still like just running around like a Duracell bunny after my lunch because I've got so much energy. I was talking to my colleague today and she was just, I can't remember what she had. She had a mozzarella and pesto halloumi panini, and she was sitting there and like she was wearing a really tight dress and then she was just like showing me her bloat and I was like, do you know what, that used to be me, but I now sit here and I don't even have to undo the top button of my jeans anymore because I'm full up, I can't eat anymore, but I'm a comfortable full up and I'm not bloated.
The only thing with keto that I found is that when you start it, you're so kind of like scared of going over that calorie limit that you set for yourself, but it actually does take a couple of weeks for you to get to that balance where your body feels satisfied by the calories that you're eating.
Yeah, like before you're there, you can't imagine feeling that way. You think, how can there not be hunger? But it really does come, and that's why you really have to trust the process and just know it will happen.
But do you ever get a little bit worried when you don't feel hungry? And you're like, hang on a minute, my body needs something. I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat just for the sake of it. There's so many times where I'm like, I've got 500 calories. I need to eat all my calories. But really and truly, I know not less is more, not necessarily in the keto world, and it's always good to be in a deficit. But there have been times where I've genuinely been scared. I think I remember messaging you, Gia, about my bread. And I said that it was twice when I had my lunch and I literally didn't eat for about 8 hours after my lunch. And I was getting scared. So I was like, I'm always hungry. And what is going on? So I'm going to rid my body of all these nutrients if I don't eat something.
But it's good that you recognise it though. Because like people think if you're eating, I've only eaten 700 calories. Oh, that's really good. I should do it every day. Like you fully recognise that if you ever post, I'm under 1,000, you know it's not a good thing to do every day or intentionally.
Yeah. I mean, even my fitness pal tells you, like, you should not be eating under 1,000 anyway. I mean,
tells you off, it doesn't actually let you log it.
The red writing comes up.
Yeah.
So obviously, it does make a little bit of room and give you a little bit of leeway the next day. You can obviously eat a little bit more, but don't go overboard, especially when I have an OMAD. There are times where I don't reach my calories and I'm so full up, having not eaten all day, you know, you do get full up on the tiniest meal and then you can eat more the next day.
I know we've talked a lot about, like, last week was metabolic confusion and how, and it's also about mindful eating as well, because if you do go below your deficit, but then you might go a little bit above the next day or head into
like zigzag calories.
Yeah. And it's absolutely fine as long as your average is still a deficit.
Yeah, it's like when I was doing part working from home, part in the office, when I was commuting to the office and I'd do like hitting nearly 20k steps a day, I know that I was walking loads. I was in such a deficit. I think my calories on my Fitbit like over 2,000 a day. So I know that I could eat more, but then the days where I'm working from home and I'm more sedentary, then obviously I need to eat a little bit less. So it's just finding that balance. Like I said, it all depends on your activity level and your movements. I'm sure, Lauren, when you go to the gym, you make sure that you eat a little bit more. Your macros and your calories are going to be so much different when you are working out.
Yeah, I do now. At the beginning, I was scared to because I had that old diet mindset of, oh, if I've burnt the calories, I shouldn't eat them again.
Yeah,
but
like
now
stay in the biggest deficit as you can.
Yeah, and that was so unhealthy, and I didn't progress much at the gym. But now that I allow myself the fuel I need on those days, I'm able to up my weights now more at the gym, and I'm seeing so much more progress and a lot more toning. And of course, the more muscle you've got, the more calories you burn at rest. So it's a win-win.
Have you tracked kind of like all the way through your journey? So like even from like day one, did you track using like MyFitnessPal and stuff?
Yeah, so to start with, I only tracked carbs, and I started tracking 50 carbs a day. I didn't look at calories, I didn't look at protein, fat or anything. I didn't see any real results with that other than slightly increased energy. But because I was still eating silly volumes of food, there wasn't a lot of difference. So I thought, I'm going to try 20, I'm just going to try the set 20. That's what everyone says keto has to be. Of course, I know now it's not got to be so rigid, but I thought I'll try 20. I'll try eating at a 20% calorie deficit and immediate results. Sort of straight away, I saw results doing that. And that is what I did for my whole journey, which took 11 months for me to get to my goal. And that was 20% deficit the whole way.
So I think that's really, because you're doing it in a healthy way that you're tracking, and you've been logging that because, it's kind of good to see where you're going with your macros as well, because I know there's some days where I might eat too little protein, for instance, and then I feel hungry for the rest of the day or the next day. But if you can kind of keep an eye on those macros, then it's obviously a lot easier.
Yeah, I think tracking, it really is an eye-opener, because you can see where you can improve, where you've gone a bit wrong. You can see if you're hungry, it's quite obvious to see why if you've got it written out in front of you. And I know Lauren is a big advocate for the protein, but I always try and make sure all my clients, I try and get them to at least 100 grams of protein a day and work up to from there if I can. But everyone's like, oh, but protein's going to knock you out of ketosis. And it's such a big misconception. Unless you're eating, an entire animal
grams
or something.
a day.
Yeah, which,
exactly.
You don't do. It's not going to happen. It's part of what keeps you full. Of course, fat is, the number one for keeping you full, but protein is right up there. And if you're tracking your macros, you can see that balance. You can see you've eaten more protein that day and that you felt more full and satisfied.
And obviously, like everyone knows, and I can't remember who was saying it on their story today, about ketosis not necessarily meaning weight loss. I think it was Zoe yesterday.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily mean weight loss. So, I mean, you can't beat science at the end of the day. A calorie deficit is a calorie deficit. The reason why we all gain weight is because we're eating too much. Like we said in our last episode, calories in versus calories out. Obviously, I mean, it's science. You can't argue against it. You can't.
But it's also quality of calories as well that affects your body chemistry, which is how I think people find it a bit easier to lose weight on keto, because obviously you're not getting that.
I think I always shout keto from the rooftops. I think it is the greatest thing. I think that is the biggest thing. People come into it saying, oh, keto is going to make me lose weight. But it isn't being in ketosis that makes you lose weight. It's because you're in ketosis and you're not hungry. You're able to eat at a deficit easier than on other weight loss plans.
Yeah, I mean, ketosis more so for me would be the mental side of things, because, I mean, obviously it suppresses my appetite as well, but it is just more so the mental side of things for me. I've been low carb recently, and I have been seeing a difference in, like, my hunger as well. Oh, my God, I had a banana this morning, and I was absolutely starving, come like 11:30, and I know I had to have 2 hours until I had my lunch. And then I had a couple bits more fruit, and then I was just like, I literally could have just bought in like 4 boiled eggs and I would have been so satisfied by now. So it's kind of just that.
There's only so much that the fibre can do in the fruit before it's like still sugar.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just more so the mental side for me. I mean, yeah, the weight loss is a bonus, but
that's the way to look at it. I think it has so many benefits, and weight loss is just a side effect of it. In a way, the clarity it gives you is you can't get that from any other form of losing weight, not the clear head you get with it. It's just second to none.
I mean, there is a lot of evidence and science around low carb diets being more effective for weight loss, because I know people who aren't doing keto and try to lose weight during lockdown, for example, and they haven't really lost that much. Like, I lost 2 stone in 2 months, and whenever I tell people that, they just ask me, what did I do and what did I take? Like, did you take shakes? Did you take pills? But no, I just ate normal food. Yeah, I cut out a food group to an extent, but yeah, I don't know, like, it works. Of course it works, and of course low carb is more effective for losing weight as well. Ketosis, like we said, not so much. And a lot of people who are on these therapeutic keto diets don't actually like people using it for weight loss. I've been in so many Facebook groups, and they hate it when people use it for weight loss, because obviously they need to be on it for medical reasons, whether they like it or not. I think a lot of them don't actually want to be, because they obviously love carbs, but a doctor's told them, sorry, you need to eat fat. But the amount of people that have had a go at me just because I was in a group and said that I was doing it to lose weight, as if it was a bad thing.
But no, you're not even in it for that now. You're what, maintaining pretty much, aren't you? You know, maintaining where you are, and you're happy with what you do. You enjoy what you eat. You enjoy, you know, baking, cooking, and yeah, if you enjoy it, why not?
I know that I can be lenient with what I'm eating. Like, right now I'm eating a stir fry with some Singapore noodles. That's not, I mean, if anyone else that was to be following keto or low carb was to have this, they wouldn't necessarily gain weight. People need to understand that if you eat a carb, you're not going to gain all the weight that you've lost. So yeah, I can be a little bit more lenient, but I will never go back to how I was eating before, like, ever. And those weekends, like last weekend, really showed me, and it does remind me why I started keto in the first place.
That is a massive thing about it. If you were on other slimming groups and you had a day off plan, you dreaded going back again. You dreaded going back to those tasteless, low-fat foods. But when you come off plan on keto, everyone says, I can't wait to get back on it. Can't wait to feel good again.
Exactly.
Time.
It makes you, I can't wait to get back on it. And I don't know whether it's just the food or it just makes me feel better, because like I said, when I'm at work, I don't have to do the buttons on my jeans, but on the weekend I had to. Good thing I was wearing a long shirt, because I thought I even had to pull the zip down as well. I was like, my stomach is so big right now. So I think I just love getting back on it, because you just get rid of all that blow and the sluggish feeling, and there's no better feeling, to be honest.
And you know, you're going back to tasty food as well.
Exactly. But like when you're saying about all these groups, when they go off plan, like, we'll obviously edit this out, with like some of them, like for example.
I mean, I didn't edit out any of the references in the specific episode, but
oh yeah,
I did that because
was brave.
I'm like, I'm ready for them. Come at me, bro.
But like, what is off plan to them? Because they, like, you see them, I follow a couple of them, they'll just put up like quite crappy foods to begin with, like putting up a dairy milk bar, and it's like, that's off plan for us. Like, what is off plan to someone on Slim? You've done, haven't you, Lauren?
Yeah, I did. I did Weight Watchers longer than I did Slimming. I just did. The thing that put me off Slimming properly was when they tried to tell me, instead of Pimm's, mix balsamic vinegar and diet lemonade. I was like, no, I'm out. That's not going to taste the same. Yeah, that's how they make Pimm's. It's in their recipes blog. Yeah, balsamic vinegar, diet lemonade. And I was like, you know
I'm
what?
all for apple cider vinegar, but I'm not all for balsamic.
Balsamic. Yeah, I was like, not going to have that.
Absolutely not.
That's a salad dressing, not a Pimm's.
It was just a weird thing. I like
what
having
other weird
support.
concoctions do they make you fucking inhale?
I'm interested now.
Yeah.
Well, the lack of oil always got me. It was like frying water. I was like, that's not frying, that's poaching. It's not frying. What are you doing? Just everything was bland. The group mentality, yeah, you thought, oh, I've got a support group like we do on Instagram. You think, oh, that's going to be, lovely. But it's so competitive, and I think you've said about this in one of your previous episodes. If you've got a really heavy person, like a 400-pound person, they're going to win the certificates every week. How can you compete with that if you're 160 pounds? And you're like, oh, I've only lost half a
bigger
pound.
people do lose weight a lot quicker. I mean, look at Kelsey, for example. She bloody lost like 11 pounds the other week. I had to double take, and I was like, is that a 1 and an L, or is that like 11 pounds? So obviously,
I'm coaching her, and she messaged me and said, I don't know if this is right. And I had to say it can happen, you know, at the beginning, especially when you're dropping your water, it will happen.
But imagine someone like me lost 11 pounds in a week. I'd run to my GP. I'd be like, something's wrong. I'm going to fall between the floorboards in a minute.
But then I've got clients that are like 11 stone, and they might lose quarter a pound, and they say, oh, it's nothing. So hold a quarter pound of burger patty in your hand.
Yeah,
that's come off your body somewhere. It's still something. And I still try and make sure I go for non-scale victories with people each week. So even if the scale's not gone down, look at everything else. Look how your clothes are feeling. I'm coaching someone who only had a baby about 3 months ago, and they wanted to lose a bit of the sort of bit of weight from that. And they said they've lost about 10 pounds. They said more than that, it's the fact they've got energy to get up in the night and breastfeed. And they said that means so much more than seeing a number pop up on a scale. Your time with your child and energy with your child. So much
and I
more.
know it was I think it was Kaz, one of the Keto sisters last year. I remember around about autumn time, she was so happy with being able to do the zip up on her boots. So obviously, if you're not losing around your waistline, you're still losing it in other parts of your body. So to be able to put a pair of boots on in the autumn, winter time and do that zip all the way to the top is just as satisfying as putting on a dress and getting the zip up to the top. Like, weight loss isn't just around your belly area.
No,
so
completely. I've been there with the boots.
Those little victories, yeah. No, can imagine if you could wear boots in the autumn.
Autumn and boots are like, that's my time. And I can tell if they're getting stuck on the calf, I can tell, you know, time to rein it in a bit. Like, I'd got boots for Christmas during my weight loss journey, and they sort of only went halfway. And then I think it was by the February, they just went whoop, all the way up. It's like, yes, even though the scale hadn't moved a lot, the boot went up. And that was.
But then you wear them in Feb, but then you've got to wait about 7 months till you can actually wear them.
Unless you're me and you just wear them all year and just refuse to wear flip-flops.
So talking about your clients and your coaching, let's move on to that, because that's so interesting. Like, that is something that, I mean, I don't know anyone else really that does keto coaching. I think there's one person on my Instagram, but
let's start that keto coaching who's actually qualified in keto. Let's put that out there. Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, I'm not a scientist, but I coach.
No, but at least you've got some sort of like extensive knowledge there.
Yeah, it's accredited qualification. I studied with Kate Jaramillo, which is with Ketogenic Living 101. It's an American lady. So I've researched quite a lot of courses, and there are lots of options out there, but this one appealed to me because it was like an independent woman that had started this up herself, and I thought that's so much nicer than, you know, a big corporate company that doesn't actually know anything about keto. This is a woman who done it herself, had success herself, and set up her own coaching company. So I studied with that sort of every evening for a few months. It was watching her videos, reading the text, and chatting with her as well. And I passed that. I started studying last April, and I passed by, I want to say the October, I think it was. And then I started coaching in the new year this year, and it's taken off really, really quickly. And I'm quite surprised how quickly it's taken off. So I thought, I've put quite a bit of money into this course, and if I get nothing back from it, then I've just lost all that money. But it's actually gone really well. I'm really pleased.
So when did you get your first client? Were you really nervous? Did you have one client at a time, or did they all come flooding in?
My first client was actually Keto Warrior Gail, which not everyone knows.
Oh, really?
We love Gail.
Yeah, Gail. She started with me in February. And I can tell with any of my clients who's going to stick with it, who's in it for the long haul, and who's in it for a quick fix. Gail, from the off, I knew was in it for the long haul. She had the right attitude. She's lovely. Everyone knows how lovely she is. Really easy to talk to, and she listened and took all my advice. And she was just a pleasure to coach from the beginning. And from there, I think she recommended me to someone. I got a lot of people through recommendations. But it just kept sort of snowballing, I think, because I was posting in my stories, you know, her success, and then another person she'd recommended success, and then they recommended me to family, and it just kind of took off. And now I've still not advertised, but I'm pretty much at full capacity. I've always got between 20, 25 clients on the go at once, and I run an 8-week program, and I also offer additional individual weeks if people want it, just for a bit of sort of extra what's the word, accountability. If people want any extra accountability, they can just do an extra week or 2 if they want to.
So without giving too much away, what does your 8-week plan entail? Like, is there a meal plan? Do you do the macros, calories? If they want to incorporate exercise, do you give them that extensive knowledge on what to do if they're going to the gym? Like, just give us a little bit of an insight, but don't go into too much detail, otherwise you're going to lose clientele.
Yeah, of course. So my plan starts with 2 weeks of no tracking of macros at all. It's just jotting the foods down, but not the amounts of anything. So I've got my own booklet printed up, so that goes out in the post. They've got a list of my approved food list for 2 weeks. So just jot down what they've had in the day, send it over to me at the end of the day, and we'll talk through it and talk through how those foods made them feel. It's all whole foods, it's no alcohol. There's only a couple of sort of root veggies restricted just for that intro phase. But otherwise, it's all the healthy stuff, all the whole foods that keep you full. And then after 2 weeks, we move on to macro tracking. So I'll calculate their macros for them, teach them how to track on an app, and then adjust it as they lose weight through their journey. And at that point, it's a case of if it fits your macros, which I am a firm believer in, because I think as long as you're getting your nutrients in and you're not restricting something to have a treat, then go for it. I think if you've reached your protein goal, you're within your carbs and calories, and you can fit a treat in, then why not? There's absolutely no harm in it. And people find by the end of sort of week 1, while they're still eating these, just whole foods, the appetite has decreased so much, they sort of can't believe it. So I think I'm not eating enough now. How can this happen? How can I not be hungry, like we were just saying? And people absolutely love it. And it's so nice to hear people saying, thank you, you've helped me. And it's just such nice job satisfaction. I just love doing it.
But that's also another thing with carbohydrates, that they don't really serve us much purpose or nutritional value, whereas the fat and the protein side of things do. So if you're getting enough protein in, you're getting enough fat in, then you're getting your macronutrients, but there's also the micronutrients as well. So the vitamins and the minerals that you're actually getting from that fat and protein. So do you give them like, God, I've got to stop saying like, do you give them a little bit of, so like with red meat, white meat, fish, do you tell them like what's in that meat that's good for them? Like, oh, just if you have steak this day or some lamb that day, then it's got these micronutrients in it, blah, 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 because obviously it's all about the electrolytes as well. You need to get majority of your electrolytes from food, partly, capsule based, part of food. Do you obviously give them an insight of what the micronutrients are in that food as well?
I always try to encourage whole foods over shakes. I mean, I do have protein shakes and things after the gym sometimes, but always whole food first. So when we start the macro tracking, I add them on the app as well. So I've got constant view of their food diary. Every evening when they're done tracking, they let me know, and I will look through the whole diary, look at the breakdown of everything, and talk through where they can make a difference if they've, as you say, like, red meat, fish, what sort of things they're having. And if they're sticking to just the same thing certain days, say where they can mix it up, where they can get more nutrients in. And as much as I say, I believe in if it fits your macros, as I said, you still do need to hit those goals as well.
Yeah, of course. And like you said, you need to get it from the right thing. So obviously, if you were to go to the gym and have a protein shake, that's not really going to give you the same amount of micronutrients and macronutrients as a chicken breast would. I mean, a lot of people, I myself, I don't want to eat after the gym because I think I've just still got that gym buzz, and I just don't want to eat. Not like I don't feel sick or anything, but I just feel like I don't want to eat. So obviously you have to, whether you force yourself or not, or just eat more the next day. But obviously there's not all protein or fat is equal.
Yeah, completely. And I do always say, if you can get it from the real food, if you can stomach it, then do it.
Yeah.
And I have got some documents I've got written up on my website, which if you sign up, you get the exclusive login to all the extra info that I've researched into. Even saying about if you're going to be doing a lot of cardio, try and eat the bulk of your carbs sort of 45 minutes to an hour before you work out, just so you've got that little burst of glucose. It's not going to stick with you because you're going to burn straight through it. And I know a lot of people don't like to eat at all before they work out. Of course, there are benefits to working out fasted, but I know I don't like it myself. I hate working out fasted.
See, I love it, but then again, if I don't feel hungry afterwards and I haven't eaten before, then I mean, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a lot of issues with like muscle recovery.
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
don't have enough protein.
I mean, I just used to guzzle like amino acids because I was like, this is getting into my muscles, blah, blah, blah. But then I'd be like, I really do need to eat something. So it would just be a matter of there's always chicken in the fridge, or there's just always like a tin of tuna or something.
I was going to say tuna, chicken or tuna. They're so simple.
Yeah, chicken, tuna or eggs. Yeah. Literally. And it's not going to be
so much cheaper than protein shakes. As much as I like a shake for the taste and convenience, can't beat the chicken.
I mean, if you want a protein shake, just have half a protein shake and a bit of salmon. I mean, like even if you go to like Lidl and you can have the cold salmon, I could just sit there and eat that. But obviously you need to think about your body, because obviously a lot of people think less is more. So like we were saying about, you work out, you think you're in a deficit, or I'm not going to eat now. But then you really need to think about what you're actually doing to your body on the inside. It's not going to be worth it. You're going to mess with your metabolism. You're probably going to lose more muscle than you actually think you're building with all those weights or resistant machines that you've used, because you're not putting the right stuff into your body to help it recover. Then you're going to wake up in a shitload of pain, and no one likes that, because I've got to the point where I actually feel like I need a bar in the bathroom to actually sit down on the toilet, because my legs hurt so much after some gym sessions, because it's just all about the recovery afterwards and the muscles.
Yeah, and if
and
you're
also the
feeling
electrolytes.
As long as you're fueling yourself properly, and your body knows what it needs. You can tell when you need to be eating